This episode is sponsored by Agent CRM. If you're in sales and tired of paying 3, 4, or 5 different companies for your email, CRM, funnels, phone, follow-up automation, check out Agent CRM. It's an all-in-one tool that combines all that you need to reach out, nurture, and close your clients. They've got weekly support calls so you can get up and running in no time. Get a free 14-day trial by going to the link below in the show notes. Hello and welcome to the Intentional Entrepreneur Podcast. I have a very special guest with me today. He is known as America's Legal Coach, the official Zig Ziglar small business lawyer, a Ziglar Legacy Certified Trainer, and has over 20 years of experience as an attorney. For the last 2 decades, he has been helping business owners, entrepreneurs, coaches, and service providers to shatter-proof their business and succeed in the professional world. He's a firm believer that seeking legal advice doesn't have to be intimidating or expensive if we treat lawyers like primary care doctors instead of ER doctors. Through his subscription plan, Access Plan Legal Services, he is making great strides in shifting that perspective. I do want to welcome to the show Scott Reib.
Hey, thanks for having me, Dan.
Hey, my pleasure. And, we've got lots to discuss. I'm very excited for our topic today, which is 8 questions to ask in order to eliminate signs of remorse. Before we kind of get into the nitty gritty, can you share a little bit about yourself and how you got to where you are today?
Sure. Yeah, I'm a lawyer. I've been a lawyer for 27 years. I operate out of Texas. Been living here north of Dallas for, 27 years, I guess. Goes by fast. I have a small business law firm, and we work with speakers, trainers, and coaches, and we do brick and mortar stuff too. And we offer a subscription-based legal program so that entrepreneurs can have the right information at the right time and do what we call create shatter-proof businesses, or businesses that bend and don't break.
Fantastic. So, have you always practiced, in this area, or, did you start off in any other areas of law, like criminal or litigation?
Great question. I've done a little bit of everything, right? But when I started out back in '96, I was doing litigation in a law firm. We did a lot of federal civil litigation. I've done some criminal stuff too. Back in the early days, we get appointed to things, and so I kind of had no choice. And so we did some of that. I've done divorce work. I've litigated oil and gas cases, real estate cases, intellectual property cases, catastrophic injury cases. I've done all that stuff. And then in 2012, I made a shift. I'd kind of gotten sick and tired of getting everybody out of trouble. Yeah. And so I started doing a kind of a deep dive on why were my clients coming to me when they were already in trouble, instead of bringing me their contract before it was signed or asking me to create the contract for them, and to avoid these big problems. And I wanted the answer to be really that it was the client's fault and that they were bad people and that they were just wrong. But it wasn't. It was my fault. We were billing by the hour, which is how, as you know, most lawyers do. And I decided that was creating a conflict between us, and that every time they thought of me, they thought of money flying out of their pocket. So instead of calling me, they would dial a friend, Google it, anything but call Scott, because when they call Scott, it costs me money. Even if we win, it still costs me money. So they just wouldn't call until they just had to. And so I just started thinking about the early days of my law firm 18 years ago. I was in an office suite. It was me, and I had an assistant, and then there were some other entrepreneurs around us doing different things. Kind of like an incubator now. That didn't exist back then. And we would sit around and drink coffee, and they would ask me questions, and I would help them. And for nothing, I would just help them. And they would also say they couldn't, they can't really afford me. And I just got to thinking that was, a real problem, that the people that need it the most can't afford it. So I've got to find a way to do it in an affordable way. And that was kind of the time out, when Dollar Shave Club was coming out, and there are all these subscriptions, and I'm like, there's got to be a way to do this for legal stuff. And so I decided there had to be, and I hired a business coach to help me build it, and we created what's now become the Access Plan, and we're an 11-year overnight success. It's been great. We have clients that love it, and
Mhm.
I love doing it because now people want to talk to me,
Mhm.
and we spend lots of time with our clients because it's no longer threatening. They're not losing money.
Mhm.
When they talk to
Mhm.
me, they're making money, and so it really changed everything. But that's kind of my path. I haven't been a W-2 employee since 1997. I've been a part owner of a law firm ever since after my first year, and so I've learned a lot. I mean, I still remember the first time I didn't get a paycheck because there wasn't any money in the law firm, and that was an eye-opening experience because when I came on as a junior partner, they're like, you'll have this partner draw and everything will be fine,
Mhm.
and it was until there was no money,
Right.
and I was like, "What do you mean there's no money?" Because I had collected money, well, but
Mhm.
we had enough to pay the staff, but we don't have enough for the lawyers. So I'm like, okay. And then 2 months later, we settled something big, and there was plenty of money again.
Mhm.
But I had to learn really quick that sometimes owners don't get paid.
Yeah. 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 And as part of the topic today, obviously you do have to deal with a lot of contracts and that kind of harrowing feeling that, and not all the time, but sometimes, like someone signed something and what did I get myself into, right?
Yeah,
And let's talk about the 8 questions to ask, to eliminate this
this
signer's
feeling.
remorse. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
right. It's
Yeah.
it's that gut feeling that you've signed something, you didn't really understand it, but you wanted what was on the other end of it maybe, and so you just
Mm-hmm.
went and signed it, and then you wake up in a sweat in the middle of the night saying, "Did I do the signer's remorse?"
Yeah.
And so I created this a simple system to
Mhm.
kind of eliminate that. And the first thing you want to do whenever you get a contract, and um, I'm old school, I'd print it out. You can
Mhm.
do it in a PDF too, I guess, but print that thing out, and then you're going to start marking that thing up. And the first thing you're looking for is what's at the top of it. Because if you're a business owner, then you should have an LLC or a corporation, and that should be at the top of it, not your personal name. So, first question number
Mm.
one is, who are the contracting parties, and are
Mhm.
they right? So, is it your corporation or LLC, and then is it the right person on the other side? Is it an individual or is it their company? Is it the right company name? Is it all
Mhm.
correct? And so, if we check that box that okay, it's the right parties to the contract, we got the right parties here in this document, then we check that one, and so we can be sure that we didn't get bound personally to something, and we
Mhm.
have the right parties on the other side that have to do whatever they're promising to do in the contract, right? So that's number
Mhm.
one. All right, then number two is now you're going to grab your yellow highlighter and you're going to go through and we're going to ask what are the important dates and deadlines in this contract.
Mm.
And you go through and highlight all the dates in yellow. Okay. Now it's just now the follow up questions are they correct? Do
Mhm.
they work? Can I live with if they have to pay me by this date? Is that okay? If I have to perform whatever my thing is by this date, is that okay? If all the dates work for you, then we can check that box that the dates are good. So now we've said parties are good, dates are good. The next thing you want to look at, and for some people this might be the first thing, is the money. And if you
Mm.
want to put this one first, you could. Is the money right? And so we go
Mhm.
through and highlight and use a pink highlighter. Where's all the money?
Mm.
Now we look, are the dollar amounts right? So if it's you're paying money, is it right? To the penny. Is that what I'm supposed to pay? And then, how am I paying it? Is it in payments, and are those right? Is there interest associated with it? Are the dollar amounts right? Because that's so important that you get that thing
Mm.
correct, because that you're bound to whatever you end up with there, right? I mean,
Right.
lawyer, this stuff, and so
Yeah.
you end up with the numbers right. So then we get parties right, dates right, and now we've got the dollars right. And so
Mhm.
then we want to look and see now what happens. What are my duties or obligations under this contract?
Right.
One of them might have been pay money, but so now we're going to take a pen and underline all the places that I have to do something. And
Right.
now you've marked those, and now you go through and same kind of question: can I do that? Do I want to do that? If you don't want to do it and can't do it, and we're done, right?
Mhm.
This isn't a contract we're going to sign. But if we're okay doing those things and can do them, then we've checked the box that we're okay with our obligations under the contract. right? So now we've gone through parties, dates, money, and our obligations. The next thing you want to look at is what are their obligations. So what's the other party promising to do for you? And then you look at that and you've marked that on your contract. And is it the right thing?
Mm-hmm.
And if they do those things for you, are you comfortable with everything you've had to do? And if the answer is yes, then we can move on, because now we've confirmed we have the right parties doing the right things at the right time for the right money. We're comfortable doing our part. We're comfortable with what they have to do with their part. So now now you've got the meeting of the minds, right? So we have an
Mm-hmm.
understanding of what's going to happen. So then you want to know, well, what happens if someone defaults?
Mm-hmm.
How do we fight? So
Mm-hmm.
you want to know how is a dispute resolved, and that's going to usually be in a mediation clause or an arbitration clause. If it's arbitration, are you okay with that? Do you want to waive your right to go to court and go to arbitration? If you don't want to go to arbitration and it requires it, you can't sign
Mm-hmm.
that contract.
Yeah.
But if you're okay with it, then you're fine. You can always ask people to revise these. All these points are, negotiable. We can ask for changes, but by going through step by step and doing this, you've got a really clear idea on whether that's going to work.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, I think this is something only lawyers kind of inside joke, because you mentioned highlighter, pink highlighter, and then pen. And you remember law school, right? We're reading those
That's right.
cases, and
That's
if
right.
you're efficient, you got the 3-sided highlighter. But if you're not, you got a stack of you know different color highlighters in one hand and reading at
Yeah,
the at the
you've
other
got
side.
all the 1L students have a handful of highlighters. All
Yeah.
the second year law students have the one highlighter with the 3 dots.
You mentioned arbitration and this with in your experience, what is preferable, arbitration, mediation, or going straight into court and having
Yeah.
no alternative dispute resolution?
Yeah. In my experience, you should always have an alternative before
Mm-hmm.
court. And to me, I think mediation is that best alternative. Um, I'm not. So I think you could have mediation, and then your next choice is litigation. You could have
Mm-hmm.
mediation, and then your next choice is arbitration. But I always want to have some place I can jump off this thing before I have to pay $5,000 to an arbitrator to decide this case, because that can get real expensive. Also, people like to say
Mm-hmm.
arbitration is much less expensive, but kind of the way that works, if you've never been a part of an arbitration, is that each side's going to have to pony up a bunch of money to the arbitrator. It's usually
Mm-hmm.
at least $5,000. Well, your case might not be worth $5,000, and now
Right.
you've already had to pay $5,000 in to arbitrate it. Where if it was mediation, you could each maybe pay $1,000, go to a mediator, go sit there for a half hour, and they'll help you compromise or see if a compromise is possible before you take that next step and invest that money. Because
Mm-hmm.
you don't know if you may think this would never resolve, but
Mm-hmm.
over 80% of cases do resolve in mediation. And
Mm-hmm.
I've been amazed at the cases that you get there, the pressure's on, and they resolve. So I always want to have that outlet in a contract I'm drafting, that mediation is an option, because I don't want someone to run off and sue me. I want them to have to give me a chance to resolve it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you
So that's
mentioned
what I
earlier
do.
too. Yeah, you mentioned earlier too. Basically making sure, like, the numbers, for example, are what was agreed upon. And I was actually talking to a colleague of mine, and um, in this case, we were dealing with a letter of intent or memorandum of understanding. So obviously, depending on the size of the deal, you may or may not have it. But if there is one, he told me, make sure in that LOI or MOU it matches what's in the agreement, because sometimes people make mistakes, or sometimes people
Mm-hmm.
try to slip one in over you, but be sure what matches in the first agreement matches, or in the memo or letter of
Yeah,
intent matches the proposed agreement.
because that can easily happen. Um, yeah, as lawyers, we're working on multiple projects at the same time, and so
Mm-hmm.
a number could get transposed, or you could pull a number from the wrong thing. And so, yeah, it's a
Mm-hmm.
really good idea to always make sure those match up. And so, unless it was a negotiated difference, it should match up to the LOI or memorandum of understanding. And the LOI, for those of you who don't speak lawyer, is letter of intent. and
Mhm.
it's kind of the precursor. So like before I sign the really big contract, we're going to put together a 2-page deal. It's a letter of intent saying here's the deal points that we want to see in a
Mhm.
contract if we're going to do business together. And it might have like a 30 or 60-day looking period where we're going to do some investigation to see if this deal can work. And then
Mhm.
you go to a full blown a contract after that. And so what Dan's saying is it should match up. Like the dates should match up. The dollars should match up to the base terms. It's obviously going to have additional things, but you want to make sure that. And so yeah, if I was writing another book, I would put on there that you've got to make sure that the letter of intent matches the numbers in the actual agreement, because that happens a lot. And
Yeah, and
sometimes it's innocent.
yeah, yeah, and for our listeners too, is typically these letters of intent or memorandums of understanding are not binding, right? It's really just to make sure that everyone's on the same page, and it's so there's no he said she said with regards to back and forth. Going back to signer's remorse, or avoiding it, and even before this is how soon would you recommend a entrepreneur business owner get their attorney involved? Is it at you know when they've received the contract to help them negotiate the contract, anywhere in between or outside those particular points?
Well, the way I work, I want to be involved. I want to be having the discussion up front about what we're trying to do, so I could advise on how to negotiate the deal. But that doesn't always happen. And so,
Mm-hmm.
kind of what I tell my clients is that kind of the art of doing a deal is that you're going to, as you're negotiating with the other party, you're typing out the key deal points
Mm-hmm.
of what you've negotiated, and then what I would want them to do is then email that to the other party and say, here's what I understand from our that we just negotiated. Do you agree that these are the terms of the contract? And
Mm-hmm.
they'll say yes, or yes, but we need to change this. And then you take that to your lawyer and say, hey, turn this into a binding contract.
Mm-hmm.
You could create a binding contract without doing that, with just the emails. A digital signature would work. And if you hit all the 8 things I went through, you'd have a decent contract.
Mm-hmm.
But there's just some language that you want to have in there that's going to be tough to get into that email. And so
Mm-hmm.
take it to your lawyer then. So it's, if you can get them involved up front, if not, as soon as you get to deal points, but before you bind yourself to them, get it
Mm-hmm.
to your lawyer.
I'm sure you've come across this particular situation. Hey, I've signed this agreement. Can you look at it for me?
Yes. And I say yes.
Of course, you can say yes.
uh,
Um, and if it's a particularly bad contract,
yeah.
how do you uh, gracefully, maybe is the word I'm looking for,
Yeah.
or softly come back to the client and this is probably not too good, or maybe we should get out of it. How
Yeah.
does that conversation kind of go?
Yeah. So up front, when they bring me a contract and say, hey, Scott, I signed the contract and forgot to ask you to look at it, then it's going to be okay. So you want me to look at it now? And they'll say, yeah. And I go, so if it's bad, I'm going to tell you it's bad. You understand that, right? And yeah, tell me the good, the bad, and the ugly. So they're prepared that if it is that, I'm going to tell them. And then you just, it's a learning experience, right? So here's the things in this contract that are bad for you and why. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I, I call myself a legal coach, and not just a lawyer, because a big part of my practice is teaching entrepreneurs how to think more like we do, how to ask better questions, how
Mm-hmm.
to think critically when they're analyzing deals, so that the little radar, the spidey senses go off, that this doesn't seem right. This isn't
Mm-hmm.
what Scott has told me it's supposed to look like.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it easier for them to head off trouble if they've got a little bit more knowledge. And so you
Mm-hmm.
just take it and make it an educational thing. And I mean, generally contracts work themselves out, even
Yeah.
bad ones.
Yeah.
They work
Mm-hmm.
themselves out. And then so you just cross your fingers and hope that this one works itself out. But now they know that, hey, here's the problems in this contract, so be looking out for this. or you're going to have to do this when you didn't want to do it. So hold your nose and do it, but you got to do it. G.I. Joe always told us when I was growing up that knowing is half the battle. So
Yeah.
at least now you know that you got a bet you made a bad deal.
Yeah. So hey, here we're Scott Reib, America's legal coach, talking about the 8 things to avoid signer's remorse. Are there any kind of parting thoughts you'd like to share with our listeners about, you know, making deals, creating contracts, and perhaps having a legal coach or attorney like you in their corner?
Yeah, one of the things that we talk a lot about is being proactive on the legal side of your business.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of entrepreneurs now are being very proactive in that they're using business coaches to help them grow and scale their business so they can get that bird's eye perspective to do that. And that's very helpful. And you need to treat the legal side in that same way because people like Dan and I bring a whole different perspective to entrepreneurship and to deal making than
Mm-hmm.
your regular business coach can. And so if you can get our perspective on those things as you're thinking the ideas, right? Most of you get people listening are visionaries, and you've got an idea a minute, and you start trying to execute on them, and you might make some mistakes right up front. And so the
Mm-hmm.
faster you can get someone like us involved, then we can start helping you guide you as you build that foundation of your business. Because if the foundation's bad, just like with anything else, eventually it's going to have problems. So you get it done quickly. Find a lawyer that you can work with on an affordable way. I'm always available to talk to you. In fact, we've got a page set up just for you for this show and for the listeners. And so if you go to reiblaw.com, reiblaw.com /intentional-entrepreneur, I've got a page there for you with a link where you can schedule a 20-minute laser legal coaching session with me. Just talk about whatever you want to talk about, business, legal, whatever. And then you can also download our ebook, Is Your Business Shatterproof, for free. We just want to give you resources and help you guys grow and scale your businesses in a protected way.
Hey, so thank you so much. We'll put that link in the show notes, so whoever's listening can go straight to it. One thing I wanted to chat real quick. You mentioned, asking better questions, and I remember Tony Robbins saying this is like, the quality of your life is dependent on the quality of questions that you ask yourself. And, I've been thinking about that a lot. And of course, you and I are kind of trained to issue spots and ask these questions. So I kind of want to impress to the audience is yes, like, and it's not just from a legal perspective, right? It's like, think about the questions you ask yourself and what better answers you might get out of them if your questions start to be more um, uh, quote unquote better, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, and then kind of right alongside that is
Mm.
if you don't ask, you don't receive. And
Mm.
so don't be
Mhm.
afraid to ask questions of people that you don't know very well.
Mhm.
Ask for things, ask for help,
Mhm.
ask. And the
Mm.
better you get at asking those questions, the faster you can get where you want to go, because you never know, you may be one
Mhm.
question away from your breakthrough.
Yeah, and kind of along those lines, because I think a lot of entrepreneurs get this, especially as they're introvert, right? This the fear of rejection, right? Or there's 7 levels of hire me. They're a millionaire, billionaire. I'm just trying to get started. How would you coach this particular entrepreneur as far as the mindset goes? Yeah, I can ask. I think it's easy to say on principle, but I think, how do you get over the limiting beliefs, approaching that person and getting over the fear of rejection?
Yeah, the only way to do it is do it. It's hard. When I was just out of college, I was in sales, and I had to, I had to make 100 phone calls a day, and I would get no a lot. And you've got to change what you're doing into a game that you're looking for no's, because the more no's you get, the closer you are to that yes. And
Yes.
so every time you get a no, celebrate it, check it off.
Mhm.
There's another one until you get to that yes. And so if you've got to get play some head games there with yourself, and
Mhm.
just and turn it into a game, and then reward yourself for doing
Mm.
that. right? So I don't know if
Yeah.
your thing is ice cream or if it's pizza, whatever. Everyone's
A
going to
little
gain
bit of
weight
both,
except
as you
me,
can tell.
you know. Then do the hard stuff and then go
Yeah.
reward yourself with whatever that
Yeah.
is. But
Yeah.
I think that can help you a lot, and the more you do it, the easier it becomes.
Hmm.
And um, don't settle for being introverted. Just
Hmm.
because you have a natural tendency to be introverted
Hmm.
doesn't mean that you can't turn it on and ask questions and be dynamic, and what do the kids call it? Have some riz. Get out there and and be somebody, because you are a
Hmm.
valuable person. You were created by God to do special things, and so get out there and do it.
All right. Thank you, Scott, for hanging out with us. We get entering the rapid fire lightning round. Are you ready?
Ready or not.
All right. It's all G rated, but this is unregulated, so it might turn for the worst. um, who do you look up to?
I look up to Zig Ziglar, who is no longer with us, but he's a
Mm-hmm.
mentor of mine that I follow his path closely.
All right. What's your most favorite business book?
The E-Myth Revisited,
Mm-hmm.
Michael Gerber.
What is the best business advice you've ever received?
Fail often, fail fast.
All right. You lose everything in your business. The only thing you have is your laptop, cell phone, and an internet connection. How do you rebuild your business in 30 days?
The first thing you do is you set up all your social media channels, and then you get in front of your camera and you start going live and talking about whatever your field of expertise is and how you can help people. And go on there as often as you can. And then next thing I would do is join groups on social media and start interacting and giving people value, giving them what you have to help them, and connecting with other people. And then as you do that, it will start attracting that back to you, and you could grow a network very quickly. And your net worth is going to be determined by your network. So build that quickly, and then you can. Then I would then get you a website. And then as soon as you get some money, start running paid ads to drive traffic to it, and then just keep feeding the machine.
All right. Are you familiar with the term 3 feet from gold?
Yes.
Okay. So if you're advising an entrepreneur, how do you know when to pivot or when you're just 3 feet from gold?
Here, you don't. You'll never know. And so that's what you have to tell yourself. There's another really good book called The Art of Quitting.
Mm.
Quitting has a really negative connotation, but it shouldn't, because part of our job as humans should be to figure out as fast as we possibly can what we should be quitting, so that we can move on to the thing we shouldn't be do. And it may be that you're very close to some success in the thing, but if it's not happy, if you don't like it, if you want to use the red light green light kind of a system of, if you're spending most of your time in red light areas doing this thing, and the red light's not good, you're not having fun, it's frustrating you, then you should quit and do something else. If you're spending most of your time in green, but some of it's in red, that's okay.
Hmm.
Keep pushing forward. But when it gets to where it's mostly red light, then you need to find something else to do, because life's too short.
All right. What's the best thing you spent $100 or less on recently that has improved your personal life or business life immensely?
$100 a lot. Probably Chat GPT Pro.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's amazing what you can learn using it. It's just amazing what it can do. But for such a small investment, it to me, it opened up the internet, from the internet being really small to me
Mm-hmm.
to huge in what it can do for me. And so that would be the best money I've spent.
Yeah. Speaking of ChatGPT and AI in general, and going back to the quality of questions, right? I think, and this is what I'm experiencing, is the better type of questions or prompts you're asking it, the better
Yes.
type of answers, responses you're getting.
And I think it's fun doing that and trying to get better results from it.
Mm-hmm.
You also could use Chat GPT if you need to be asking better questions. If you're getting ready for a meeting, ask Chat GPT what questions you should be asking. Summarize the meeting of what you're getting ready to go into, and then ask it for what questions should I be asking. Or if you have a list of questions, put the questions in and ask it what questions should I be asking that I don't have on my list.
Yeah.
Get better.
What's the biggest challenge in your business today?
Technology stack is too big. We have, with our subscription offering, we've got way too many pieces of software, and most of them work together okay. But when you try to onboard someone with 6 different pieces of software that they have to use every day, it's too much. And so I would say the technology stack right now is my biggest frustration.
All right. And finally, another kind of metaphorical question. Have you heard of the term, pioneers get the arrows in their backs?
Yes.
Yes. So if you were advising an entrepreneur, how do you kind of distinguish, hey, you're the first one into this market, you don't want to do that, or you want to be first, first to arrive in this market because it's untapped?
Yeah, so I think that depends on 2 things. Toughness, right? You have to know yourself, and are you the kind of person that can take arrows in the back and keep moving, or are you going to fall off that horse? And then the second is, can you afford to be the first to the market? Because sometimes you can't, and so you show up in this blue ocean, but you don't have the resources to make it happen, and that's going to be very frustrating. So most people that I talk to, if it's like I'm trying to figure out what business to start, I want to find a problem a problem everyone else is already solving and find a better way to do it, but there ought to be a market for it. And I speak from experience because when I created my legal subscription plan, no one was doing it, and no one was looking for it, and so I had to create the market for it. And so I got plenty of arrows in my back, and it was. I thought in the first year I would have 100 clients. It's taken me 11 years.
Yeah.
To have 100 at one time.
Yeah.
Anyway,
thank you. Oh, go ahead.
No, that's those are great questions. I enjoy it. That's fun.
All right. Hey, thank you, Scott, for hanging out with us. We've got all your social media links. And of course, thank you for the offer. So anyone who wants to speak with Scott, we'll put that link in the show notes. Thanks again for hanging out with us, and hope we can talk again soon.
Thanks, Dan.